Opening night here at Bourne Park ends in disappointment for the Bourne Braves as they lose 5-3 to the Cotuit Kettleers. I'm Blaine McCormick, joined along with Justin Galanti and Kyle Kirchhoff here at Bourne Park. Now, Kyle, we had Tim Cate from UConn on the mound today. What did you see from him early on?
Well, we saw that UConn battery with him and Zack Smith, and you know that's got to help anytime you've got a catcher behind the plate that you're familiar with. And if you're a catcher having a pitcher you're familiar with, you know their stuff, you know what to expect. Tim Cate tonight, though, great fastball curveball mix. I really liked what we saw from him. Unfortunately, came out for his fifth inning of work, just really didn't continue what he was doing. He was just struggling to place his pitches. He was wild. He was really sharp, really working the outside corner tonight, and that was something I thought we'd see from the rest of this Bourne Braves staff, is really attack the outside corner, and it's almost as if they tried to do that. They just weren't quite getting the calls, and they just weren't quite hitting exactly where Cate was pitching. But I think an excellent outing from him, a great way to start off. Over 4 innings, was it 7 or 8 strikeouts? Outstanding game from him, and I think if you get starts like that for the rest of the season, you're going to be in good shape if you're the Braves pitching staff.
Now, going off of that 5th inning, Justin, what was the biggest thing from the Cotuit Kettleers that really propelled them to this 5-3 win?
Well, I think you have to say it was Griffin Conine. I mean, the kid from Duke was amazing. 3 RBIs, an RBI triple, a 2-run single. And other than that, Cotuit just kind of made things happen a little bit more than Bourne did. They scored a run on a suicide squeeze. They were stealing bases and bunting and things like that, whereas Bourne kind of played the game straight up. And it worked for Cotuit tonight. So that doesn't work every night, but you get a big hit or two and you make things happen on the base paths and you get a win.
Now, in those kind of situations, a suicide squeeze is the strategic baseball. As a baseball player, how are you supposed to defend those kinds of at-bats?
Right. I mean, it's tough because if they get the suicide squeeze down, there's really nothing you can do about it. But on the other hand, if you can expect it coming, you can do something about it. You saw actually on the next batter, the Braves pitched out when Cotuit squared to bunt on another suicide squeeze. So if you can expect it, you can do something. But look, if they're going to put down a squeeze and have a guy charging down the third base line, if the bunt gets down, it gets down. You can't do anything about it.
Now, Kyle, you mentioned Susie in the beginning of your talks, the fellow UConn guy for Tim Cate. What kind of chemistry does that present for the guy that's on the mound, having him right behind the plate and being able to pitch to a guy he's familiar with?
It's your security blanket. You know, this is summer league. You're playing with a bunch of guys that you don't necessarily know. You're playing against guys that maybe you've played against and you absolutely hate because you're rivals with them back at school. Here, if you know you're a pitcher, you're going out there and you're like, all right, my boy Zach is behind the plate. He knows what I like to throw. We know how to work in tandem. We've thrown games together. It just gives you a huge edge as far as baseball goes and knowing pitches, but the mental edge and the comfort that is something that's not really tangible, but it's absolutely there, and I think we saw a little bit of that tonight.
Now, speaking of unfamiliarity, that's kind of a tough word to say.
That's a big one.
Arizona State first baseman and catcher Lyle Lynn, he and I talked after the game, and it's a totally different place for him. The weather, the geography, I mean, it's all the way across the country from Arizona State. How do you think that plays into effect with some of the guys? He seemed to not really mind it too much because a lot of the guys were familiar with him and were able to bring him up to speed with how it works out east. How do you think it is for those guys who are not familiar with the area or don't really know how East Coast baseball works?
Well, East Coast baseball is West Coast baseball, is North baseball, is South baseball. That's the best thing about the game, is you can go anywhere and the game is the same. When you step onto this field, you lock everything else out of your mind. You say, hey, I'm going to go play 9 innings of baseball. If you're stepping on the rubber, you say, I'm going to go pitch my top 3 pitches and I am going to get in a groove and I'm going to set the tone for this game. It's all mental. And once you get onto the baseball field and once you say, hey, look, these are my teammates. I know I got a team behind me. You know you have 8 guys helping you out if you're a pitcher. So it's all just baseball. So you just got to block that out, and you're going to make friends here. And broadcasters, players alike, it doesn't matter. You're going to make friends. You're going to get to know your team. So it's all mental.
Now, looking ahead to tomorrow, they play Brewster here at Bourne Park again at 6 o'clock. Justin, what's the biggest thing they need to work on to win that game?
Well, there's not much you can do about this, but I would say not hit into double plays. I think the Braves hit into 3 or 4 double plays tonight, and it really took them out of a bunch of big innings. So basically, it's just not wasting opportunities. When you get men on base, you have to move them over, get them on, get them over, get them in. The Braves didn't do a great job of that tonight, whereas Cotuit did, but doesn't mean it won't change tomorrow, so they'll look to get back on the horse right away.
Well, Justin and Kyle, thanks for joining me here on Tomahawk Talk. Make sure to tune in tomorrow as the Bourne Braves take on Brewster here at Bourne Park at 6 o'clock. For Justin and Kyle, I'm Blaine McCormick, and we'll see you next time.